Today's, I haven't really thought of any topic to discuss at all. When I woke up this morning, I felt like I need a silence. I felt I want to have a few hours of complete peace. Has been a long time since the last talk. It was last week, Eileen. You can check it out in my IG and also YouTube. And I then realized that I just want to go in a state of being myself, do my stuff, meditation, pranayamas. And then I realized that, oh, I have got a yoga talk today. And it was so closely tempting to cancel it because I just felt like I want to be myself. I wasn't really feeling like to communicate or talk. Trying not to be worried during times of uncertainty. That's being positive. Very nice. Well said. But then, as I was thinking about cancelling, I also thought that this is my dharma as a teacher, and my dharma should stand first before my emotions. I should be doing my job first, and that's what Bhagavad Gita teaches as well, that all what we need to do is our own job, our own work in our own field of karma, and the rest should not be taken as much care of, especially if it is something required for your inner self. So I have uploaded the Bhagavad Gita chapter on my YouTube channel. Please listen to it. It is such a great conversation between two lovely people. They have made histories, and this is being one of the very important parts in yoga philosophy. And there are many things they have spoken about, but one is about karma yoga. I do talk about this part in detail in my teacher training, so I'll keep this only till here. So yep, that is why I am here. Even I felt like I just want to be by myself, do nothing at all, just clear up every stuff and stay home and do nothing at all. But later on I have got other stuffs to do, so I'll still have to go out. So so I don't really have anything much to think about today. So if you have got questions for me, please bring it on and I would be happy to answer. And since I was continuing in the last talk about my philosophy and concept of how vulnerable I was back then when I was in India, I mean in the sense about the overall aspect of what yoga is, my idea, understanding, perspective was completely different, and how it has changed after I came over. Going back slightly into my childhood and the perspective of how things have changed over my vision. Some of you are also curious, and one of you have mentioned that what brought me to Hong Kong. So I'll tell a little bit about that as well, so it makes sense about where I'm coming from and what I am right now and what my vision for the next few years is. So being in a very small city, which most of you know, I used to be kind of quite a suppressed kid. I was quite suppressed in the sense that the environment, the atmosphere in my home wasn't really great, and mainly it was for some financial crisis. My dad's business wasn't running great. There were times that I couldn't even pay for my yoga lessons, monthly yoga lessons. I used to paint. I used to be quite okay at it. I won't say great. I was quite okay at it. And I had to quit the painting, even though I enjoyed, because parents couldn't afford to continue with that. And so since then, I also had problems back in my school for my books and stuff not being in time. And so I kind of, all these things happening around me made me quite timid. It made me really take a step back and think that, okay, why am I the only one? But then now when I realize there are definitely some emotional connections still from all those occurrences in my past. But now I do realize that I believe in this, that everything happens, there is a solid reason behind it. Everything we do, everything we face and work on through is a part of the learning. And now when I look back, I see how much I have learned. I see the value of humanity, morality. I see the value of the money in this world, which is not everything, but it is something. I see how people strives or struggle for their livelihood. And when we have everything, how we take it. And when we do not have everything, and then from nothing when you become something, how that changes the state of emotions, the mind, and the attitude. So so that environment wasn't really great, and I was also exposed to some violences through my mom really being strict to me, beating me up at times when she was not emotionally in control as well. But no complaints. Without her, I would be nowhere right now, because she almost single-handedly brought me up. So quite lots of painful time back then. And I thank God that I have been through that. Two reasons: because I see that deluded side, I see the dark side of the life, which many of us haven't. I see the bright side of the life. And very importantly, I see the skills of parenthood. By that I mean that if I did not had those bitter experiences back when I was a kid, I probably would not have been able to connect with what is going on in my son's life, in my kid's life. And that gives me a lots of positive involvement about what has happened in my life has happened for good reasons. But this is just a share. This is just a share. I'm not saying that, oh, I wish it would not have happened. I'm actually glad that it happened, because it made me the person whom I am. So, but yet, I am just what I am, and I'm nothing great. But I feel I'm happy of what I am, because I'm able to serve humanity in a certain way. I'm able to help many people, and I feel fortunate that there are people who count on me for their growth, physical, spiritual, whatever it is. And that is why I feel content of what I do. And that's why I always say that teaching yoga is a noble job, and we all should respect that teaching field. At times it can be stressful, because yoga teaching doesn't really involve a great amount of money unless you are in the top tier. But then, as long as we feel happy about the job satisfaction, I think money part is secondary. And that is what I say. That is what I have been learning through my childhood, that how important is money. Like, I didn't have much. And at that moment, I just hope that, I wish that I want my father to just earn enough to make sure that we are having a simple life. We don't have to think about what am I going to eat tomorrow. We don't have to think about the school fees are not paid. So that is all what money matters. After that, there is always endless desires. Like, you can buy cars, you can buy big houses and stuff like that. And yeah, for our own kids, if we are making that as a platform for them, nothing wrong as parents, for sure. So yes, going back to that. So as I was, during the phase of like around when I was 17, my dad started to pick up again. It picked up for 2 years, and then it started to drop down. So then I was into an engineering college. I was doing my computers, and I just did my first semester examination. And at that moment, I remember I spoke about this thing, and I really take pride of speaking this. So I always want to mention this, that this was one of the best institutions, reputed institutions in India. And in the first semester, I topped the university. And I topped because I saw a huge change within myself of how I saw from before. Before, I think I was looking at myself more as a person who don't know the path and have to follow, have to study. Through the education, I'll be going in for some other fields. I didn't have a vision. Being an engineer or being in the medical science, becoming a doctor, are two very noble professions in India. Used to be. Now things have changed. Now people's mind have altered. They have grown up mentally. But if you're an engineer and if you're a doctor, only these two things gives you a reputation in the industry of where you are. But again, as I said, now things have changed. But when I went into the university, I thought that this is my last chance. My father is struggling, and if I am not doing things right, I think I have to live the same platform as him, because I'm nothing special. I'm not doing anything which is really exceptional to make me go into the place where I would expect myself to be. Then I become very serious. At that time, it was a huge transformation within me. I was 20. It was a huge transformation. I was just blown away by all what I have seen in my past, and that I felt the reality of being in life that time. I feel like I have tears now, but I really feel like going back, it is a reality of the life, and I have to face it. It is then and there, or nowhere after that. So it so happened that coincidentally, my teacher, who is still working in Hong Kong, he was already working. He came in 2003, and he was working. We were working actually, but at that moment he was working in a place which was called Planet Yoga. It closed down in 2009, and an Indian teacher who just quitted the company created space for me, basically. And so my teacher asked me, would you like to come over? And it was a huge decision to make. It was never easy to make. And I thought, and I felt like my dad's business again is not going that great, so what should I do? Shall I move in? Shall I dive in just to work? Or shall I still continue with my studies, knowing that I have had a pretty fair result, and I think I should be able to continue doing good, because I see the change within me. But then I also thought that everything is uncertain, because I don't know when I'm graduating after 4 years what would be the situation, how much loan my father needs to pull up in order to make me to study. So I chose a side. I chose coming in to Hong Kong for being a yoga teacher. And trust me, before that, when a lots of us see that or say that you need to have a yoga teaching certification before you start to teach, I had nothing. And you would be surprised to know that I never ever taught before I came here. I taught kids, and when I teach kids, the way of teaching is completely different from taking a class over here. I never taught. Back in India, we used to teach like this. Prepare for Chakrasana. Starting position, ready, start. When the time finishes off, we'll say, come back slowly and relax. Common dialogue, that is all. That is all for every single pose. Starting pose, stay, relax. And that's what it is. Even back then, that's what it is. And Thank you for coming. Thank you for treating me good, Hong Kong, and you all. Yeah, so when I came in, I was kind of scared because I never taught, and when I saw people coming in to my first class, like, or rather, I had to go through a 10 days pre-training, like right before jumping into the teaching. I need to do some preparation. I need to attend teachers' classes. I need to practice to start to teach. I did that for 10 days. I had my first class. I still remember that was around an afternoon time, morning or afternoon, I forgot exactly when it was. It was a class with 17 people around me, and if you see Eileen is commenting over there, thank you for coming. I still recall she was there in my first class, and thanks for being there until now. So then since there, things have changed. I have seen world in a different vision. I have grown up so much. Those delusions, those negative energy which I lived through in my past almost faded out. Super happy, super joyful working over here back then, now still, but now things have changed. So the changes, I would be coming in and I'll be mentioning what changed. People at that time, I was 20 and a half when I came in. And people used to say that, hey, did you guys try out that very thin boys class? He looks like a kid. He looks quite handsome, but he looks like a kid. So I'm still considering whether I should go and try him out. And people literally used to just come in and try classes. I was like, oh yeah, he's too young. He's too young to teach, so probably I'll give him some time, let him get better at this, and then I'll go and give him another chance. So these are kind of comments I used to hear, and fair enough. I mean, why not? There are greater and better teachers, so why would you come into another teacher's class who is more green, right? And even for me, I would be more under pressure when I see experienced students coming into the class. Experience not in the sense of doing great postures, but experience in the sense of doing different teachers' classes. And that would put pressure on me. It starts to rain over here. Probably you can hear the voice. The sound, I hope not. So, going back then, and then rest is all history. One thing I have always known that in order to grow into any field, you have to work hard. And this is a common statement, right? It is a very common statement. Everybody of us knows that. But do we really do it? My question is, do we really do it? At least from my point of view, my perspective. And I'm not taking any names. I'm not trying to get into anybody here. I'm not trying to target. But what I have seen is that we teachers, especially for my field, I cannot say in other field, because if it's your field, you would know a lot better than what I know, and probably you are doing enough to continue your growth. But we teachers do very less study, which also involves me at times. We teachers, I've seen this mainly in our community, our Indian brothers. Please don't mind, but this is what my personal feeling is, and if I'm offending anyone, please forgive me. We don't really do much after we get to some point. Like, I haven't seen many teachers actually educating themselves after they have moved out of their city. If they have came out of their country, and what is next? Like, what I know, I already know it. What I speak, it is what is already within me. There is nothing new. And in order to harvest something new within you to come out, one needs to explore. One needs to go beyond the usual. I take this as a commitment to my own self that I don't want to stop learning. Learning should be something which should continue till the last day of life. Whether it is learning about your own subject of interest, whether it's learning about the subject which is giving you the livelihood, or whether it is learning about your own self. Every single day we learn. Every single day we learn. And I am happy. I'm extremely happy for me having those changes from back then. I am humbled by a lots of teachers who have given me what I have within me. I keep trying to do at least some courses, some learning every year. Last year I did, the year before I did, the year before I did. I am planning next year. We'll see how situation is, but yeah, learning is just like a food for me, and I want to continue doing that. And this is what I would suggest everybody over here as well. Now, what has changed? My first phase, when I was since a kid, coming into 20 years, fluctuations of life, looking at a lot. Then coming in, charismatic life, blew me off again. When I came in Hong Kong, it just blew off my mind like, woo, wow, what's this? Serious? This is crazy life. This is crazy life. You have freedom, you have everything. You wake up, just your class is at 11 o'clock. You wake up at 10:30, just go to the class. You go and sleep at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. People would say nothing. You just do your job. You have money in your pocket, you can buy everything. You can go out to pub, you can booze. You have so many fantasies around you. They have so many pretty girls around you. And these things were never, ever apart back in India. So there has been a pattern, and back then, if I look behind, I was lost within all these fantasies around me. And that was being there for quite some time. But one thing I always maintained, that I took my work extremely seriously. I took my work seriously because I know that I need to do what my father couldn't do. And not because I want to do it for myself, but I want to do it for my parents and for my future generation. Is the voice okay? Because I think it's pretty heavy rain here. Are you able to hear me? If yes, please give me a thumbs up. I'm already using a filter, so I hope that the voice is still okay. So I, back then, after that fantasy world finished off, thank you. After that fantasy world finished off, my parents then told me that, well, the fantasy world actually, to be honest, it never finishes off. Okay? It never does. It is more of a mind control. And that is something, again, being a yoga practitioner, being a yoga teacher, I have got to keep reminding myself. Then my parents told me that it's time you should get married. And it's a ritual in India that you should be getting married by around when you are 30. 30 is a good age of getting married for men. And again, it's a ritual. I personally always believe in no fixed age for doing anything. Age is just a number. But yeah, my parents told me, at that moment, the lady with whom I am right now, she was great to me. She is still great to me. And I took the decision of moving along with the path of walking my rest of the life together with her. Then a huge change came, of very big insight came into me when I had kids. And that is why I always tell my friends that when you are having kids, your life will completely alter. It's going to completely change. I have seen this change in many people, in everybody actually having kids. It's a good change. It makes you humble, it makes you grounded, It makes you passionate. It makes you kind. Because when you look at their face, you see your own self. You see your image. You see that little life you're holding is all for you. And that really is such a special moment. It's very mesmerizing, and it's beyond expression. It's something which one has to feel by themselves. So yeah, that is what it is. And now here I am. Time flies fast, just like the last half an hour fly by fast. And this is all about my journey coming from India into Hong Kong. I won't exceed more than half an hour. Probably if you want me to cover any specific topic, please mention. I would be glad to share my experience on anything which is required. See, I would also believe that for me as a student, I like to listen to people. I like to listen to their life. I like to listen to their experience so that I resonate with them, or I at least understand what they're coming from, where they're coming from, and where they are in right now. And that is why I haven't taken up any philosophical topics, because philosophy is something which you can read books. I can talk about Bhagavad Gita for an hour, but you can as well just open up Google Bhagavad Gita or go to YouTube Bhagavad Gita and you will have everything. So I think sharing a personal life's experience is more precious than really talking about philosophical stuffs. So even if I'm talking about yoga philosophy, it's going to be related to something which I have experienced or I have been through, because that way I can actually express myself more clearly, because I've been through there. So if there is any specific topic you want me to cover, please let me know. Next week, some of you have also asked me, how is my usual lifestyle on a daily basis before the COVID, or before when things are normal, when things are not normal like right now, and how I would spend my day. And I would be happy to discuss this in my next talk.